Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming, and in a matter of days, Season 10 of Diablo 4. This season has two pretty big aspects to it. You got the Infernal Horde rework, and Chaos as a theme. Within that theme you have Chaos Armor, which is going to mean you can have uniques in new slots compared to normal, and of course Chaos perks, aka powers, which for Necromancers are going to shift what's possible for core and ultimate skills. So what should you know and generally plan for leveling up, getting into Torment Endgame this time around? Well, one important aspect of leveling up this time is going to be the new Fleeting Hordes, which is like a level up version of Infernal Hordes. 4 waves to clear, and just 2 fell council bosses at the end. So Hordes will be different this time, but it's still going to be extremely good for AoE focused content and specifically good for leveling. So with that and other things in mind, I am planning Blood Surge as my leveling build initially, before likely converting to the Shadow Blight Soul Rift spam build that's actually comparable to Blood Surge in the way that it functions. But naturally, when do you make that swap? It depends on the context and your drops. I can easily see Blood Surge being great getting into T1 and farming T1 initially. Blood Surge has always been insane for leveling, and when you work in minions, which are better than ever actually, and very strong out of the box resource, it just becomes something great for leveling. Also in Season 10, all Necromancer minions are going to be automatically resummoned when the Necromancer is resurrected. Other strong positives for Blood Surge are coming in Season 10 though, like the fact that there's a small buff to Blood Surge's Nova damage, up from 70% to 80%. Or when you take Enhanced Blood Surge, which has been changed a bit. Before it would give you a small heal based on the amount of enemies hit, now it also generates stacks of overwhelming blood, and of course at 5, that's a guaranteed overpower. Normally we'd use Paranormal Surge for that, but that's changed too. They've cut the each surge while healthy stacking thing, and now it just means if you pick up a blood orb, you get 3 stacks of overwhelming blood, so between that and the enhanced surge stacks, you'll reach 5 very quickly. Plus they've also changed Supernatural Blood Surge too, where it used to give us a nice damage buff of a 30% multiplier when fortified. They've made that a 50% multiplier now, though I still think Paranormal is going to be great in the early game, since we're not going to have nearly as many methods to stack Fortify. So while things are pretty positive for the Blood Surge with minions leveling concept, there's still going to be a downside with this build, which is the fact that Blood Surge is not the best single target build out there. For leveling and initially gearing, and early bosses that are weak, it's still going to be a great choice. And in the season of Infernal Hordes, where AoE is going to be king, I think that's going to be obvious. But what about Chaos perk details? The big Chaos perk for Necromancer is a crazy one. Ultimates become core abilities, while core abilities become ultimates. This is going to greatly affect the builds for us, so it will be important to understand the perk system. Chaos perks change how your skills work, with different rarities for the perks as you'd imagine. Only one unique perk can be equipped, with universal perks and class specific ones to consider of different rarities. Our big one is Alter the Balance though, which is the one that's changing your ultimate skills to core, changing them to have no cooldown but actually cost 50 essence to use, where core skills become empowered as ultimates but cost no essence and have a 20-second cooldown. So yeah, gonna really affect the endgame, and the top performing Shadow Blight build will rely on this heavily as it spams Soul Rift thanks to that no cooldown thing. For leveling, we're not going to have that right away. Based on the PTR description of that specific unique, you won't get it until you defeat the new special Infernal Hordes boss, Bartok, and he's not available until Torment 1 or higher. So once we have that, I think that's when we consider transitioning to the Shadow Blight build. But in the meantime, Blood Surge is going to be a great choice for leveling, so let's explain the leveling build. First up, a quick talk about perks, which is a bit more vaguer. They've changed some things from the PTR as well. One of the most obvious incredible ones is Crazy Brew though. It's a healing potion benefit, where basically you take a pot and then you have 100% resource cost reduction, attack speed and movement speed for 4 seconds. So if you're spamming your Blood Surge, you're going to want that cost reduction. Essence Gen is going to be a theme of importance throughout this build, and this will help with that. Alongside that, you have things like Invigorating Attacks, which generates essence through your basic skill. It makes the basic skill damage really bad, but who cares? You're just using it to get your essence back and then keep surging again. So it could weave in really well. I also like Accelerating Chaos, which is a lucky hit proc. It triggers these chaotic bursts, and these reduce an active cooldown by half a second each time, which could be great for Corpse Tendrils or Soul Rift cooldown. There's also some potential with Power Siphon, where you're going to get stronger surges using it, but it will make it more expensive per 6 seconds, and since we're going to be essence starved unless we really invest in that, it might not be the best, but it would be worth trying. Those are all your non-unique options, but for the unique powers, obviously, when we unlock Alter the Balance, that's when we're going to swap to the Shadow Blight Soul Rift endgame build. That's not until Torment 1. If we do get other unique powers earlier than that, maybe we could find something like Brawn over Brains. That could be potent, giving you massive increases to max life and healing and overpowered damage. But in exchange, you take a bit of a resistances cut and armor damage reduction loss. But in the early game before T1, that wouldn't even matter. So if it is possible before we even get to alter the balance in T1, maybe. But those are the perks that I'm looking at. Okay, now we jump into game to look at the skill tree and all the other information. Be aware that I'm currently recording this still on Season 9, so little changes, we'll mention them as we go. Anyway, you'll definitely open with Reap so you can get Enhanced Reap. It gives you that all-important 4-second buff, which is attack speed. We will be using our basic to generate Essence with that one power we just mentioned, so it's just the one that gives us the most value. Then we're going to actually pick up Blood Surge to get going. You need to put 4 points in before you can reach the next tree. And we level up the ranks just to give it better actual initial damage. So we fill that up and then we enhance it and take it to Paranormal. This will have changed, where Enhanced is going to give us these stacks that allow for overpower. Paranormal in Season 10 means when we pick up some Blood Orbs, we're going to get those stacks of overwhelming blood, helping us overpower a lot more consistently. Next, we've also going Corpse Explosion to Blighted, which has been improved, giving us some early power. And importantly, we want a way to generate resource. We need to be able to generate essence as much as possible. We consume these corpses through Corpse Explosion and summoning skeletons or buffing them. So getting 3 levels in this is going to give us that 6 essence per. To also help on essence, we're going to take Iron Maiden and put 1 point into Enhanced. As usual, this is a leveling trick you do in most builds. It means it's no longer costing essence, and you generate essence by applying this curse to different targets. So obviously, super good. This brings us to Corpse Tendrils for the pull-in stun and a way to generate vulnerable. And with the 3 remaining points that we need to progress, I'm going to put them into the mages. This brings us to the ultimate tree, where of course we're going Soul Rift, fully enhancing that and supreming it. Then we'll come back up and actually make it so our amplified damage is a damage bonus, while our curse is applied to everything with Iron Maiden. From here we can pick up a key passive, Rathma's Vigor, for the guaranteed overpower. And then we start to clean up the tree. So we obviously want to come into the blood passives, increasing damage while healthy, and increasing our overpower. Your blood skills have a chance to generate blood orbs, we're going to want those. And then by using blood skills, we also fortify too. Speaking of fortify, we're also going to pick up Necrotic Carapace. Then we come back up to the top where we finally pick up Fueled by Death. We'll increase the potency of our warriors. And by this point, we'll be okay on the essence generation. So we're going to come into Hued Flesh to generate corpses through Lucky Hit, as usual. And get imperfectly balanced to increase the damage we're dealing with Blood Surge. But that brings us to our last 10 points, where we're going to get Death's Embrace, where we're going to go for Necrotic Fortitude. We can come down to the ultimate tree to finally pick up some crit strike chance and Inspiring Leader, since we're not going to have much of that from the gear. And then one final point could go into Finality, for a little damage bonus for 8 seconds after casting a roll. Then we have our Book of the Dead, so Warriors on Reaper with upgrade 1, giving you the CDR for your maybe Corpse Tendrils and Soul Rift. You got, of course, Skeleton Mages on Cold. On upgrade 1, we need to be generating as much essence as possible. This will help with that. We cannot fit Golem on the bar, so we just sacrifice it. Your options are the Blood Golem for max life, or Bone Golem for attack speed, which to be fair is going to give you a lot of bonuses to stacking up Blood Surges, getting those 5 stacks and getting a guaranteed overpower sooner. So I think it's a great option. Now let's talk about what aspects you want to aim for. Obviously, you're going to be changing your weapon too often to actually reliably have that. So we can't rely on those slots. What you can rely on is your amulet, which is going to be your most important slot. Your rings, and probably your gloves too for an offensive slot. You could hold on to those. The main aspect to go into your amulet though is Ferocious Rage. Killing an enemy with a core skill refunds a % of that base cost, helping you spam Blood Surges more. This is so important in the early game when we don't have a lot of essence. It's going to make a big difference. You put it on your amulet. Otherwise, the other aspect to go on offensive slot, rings or gloves, is Bloodbathed, to increase the damage that you're dealing with Blood Surge by causing them to echo out. And as usual, another slot will go to Grasping Veins for the big crit strike chance and damage bonuses that provides. In terms of uniques, you might find one during your playthrough in the early game. Ideally, this will be Kruor's Embrace, which is going to give you ranks to Blood Surge, Tides of Blood. Blood Surge will drain multiple times on elites, and it also starts consuming corpses to generate AoE Blood Surges from them, dealing increased damage based on the initial cast hitting multiple enemies, as well as how many corpses you consume. This has been buffed in Season 10 to actually have a greater damage output, so it'd be amazing if you found it. When it comes to gems and runes, gems is just, if you can slap an intelligence into gear, that's great. Maybe you put rubies in your weapons for overpower damage, but runes are going to be a bit more important. The reason for that is these two, which are always great early game, but particularly important for this build. You have Gar, which is giving you nice crit strike chance stacking when you don't have many resources of this early. But more importantly, you have Lum, which restores primary resource, another way to generate essence. Combine that then with a generator like Seer, which is a really reliable one, or logical ones you might find like Zan when you cast your ultimate, Yax for healing, Potion, or Sem for casting evades. For Mercenaries, it's familiar stuff. When under-geared, it's kind of the same thing every time. It's Rahier and Vayana. Rahier, when your main, can provide such big damage reduction and element resistance, which is great, but Vayana provides you with Massacre. This gives you stacking movement speed, which is just so nice for general leveling and progression. But then also, she gives you attack speed, which is a really, really nice thing to have to help us spam Blood Surges even more. And Rahier works great with Bastion as a defensive on your Blood Surge. However, if you progress and find you need more defense, you can always make Rahier your main, go for Ground Slam with Rahier's Aegis for the resistance to all elements. We have Bastion, and then of course Inspiration for a damage increase. Both work really well. Right, for Paragon then, here's the first two boards for a nice starting section. On the first board we have Corporeal, which gives you nice physical damage increase, which will work for Blood Surge, and movement speed based on active minions, which we'll have during this leveling phase. So it just works really well for the build. We're going to extend into Blood Begets Blood for the nice damage bonus of that, and on this board we're going to have Amplify. Everything that we're fighting is always cursed, it takes increased damage, just an obvious early easy choice. Again, achieving 40 intelligence here is easily doable without upgrading Amplify to 15, same for Corporeal, which is why I'm showing it like this. Getting those bonuses activated very early on. Obviously I'll be back to cover the full thing with the Shadow Blight build and all the Paragon setups when that drops. But yeah, that covers it for my leveling build and plans for Season 10. I hope that overview gave you some important context and a good idea of what you can do in your opening day of play. Obviously, before long we'll be in Torment 1, swapping to the Shadow Blight build, and I'll be back to cover all of that very soon. Until next time then, I've been Hollow, you've been you, thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.